All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Ashlyn Reed, and I'm the Associate Director for FAME USA with the Manufacturing Institute. We're thrilled to have you join us today. And as we all know, the manufacturing landscape is constantly evolving and one of the most significant shifts in the changing demographics of the workforce. This webinar will focus on the importance of tapping into a larger talent pool, specifically by attracting and retaining more women in manufacturing. We'll explore the unique perspectives and valuable contributions that women bring to the industry. We'll be sharing valuable data from the Manufacturing Institute on what women are looking for in educational and career opportunities. This data will provide crucial insights to help us better understand their needs and aspirations. To bring this discussion to life, we'll also hear from a highly successful female leader in manufacturing, Leslie Cantu, the Vice President of Administration at Toyotetsu, Texas. Leslie will share her inspiring career journey and offer valuable insights into her experiences in the industry. Furthermore, we'll explore effective strategies for attracting and retaining female talent, including partnerships with educational institutions, mentorship programs, community outreach efforts, and more. We encourage you to actively participate throughout the webinar, and please feel free to ask questions during our Q&A session, or just simply drop a question in the chat at any time. We believe that by creating an inclusive environment, we can unlock the full potential of our workforce and ensure the continued success of the manufacturing industry. Let's get started.
Thanks,
Let me get
Ashlyn.
over to you, Lexi.
Yeah, thanks, Ashlyn. Good morning, everyone. I'm Lexi Champion, the National Director of Women Make America. The initiative at the Manufacturing Institute focuses on supporting and empowering women so that they excel in manufacturing. Now, you may know us best for our annual Women Make Awards Gala, where we celebrate 130 women each year for their contributions to manufacturing, or maybe you've had colleagues who've participated in one of our mentorship programs. Since 2022, we've trained over 600 mentors, equipping them with tools to guide, encourage, and uplift other women in manufacturing. Or perhaps you've attended one of our professional development webinars designed to ensure women in this industry have the confidence, skills, and leadership opportunities to thrive. But why do we do this work? Why does the Manufacturing Institute dedicate an entire initiative to supporting and empowering women in manufacturing? Because women represent the largest untapped talent pool to address our sector's workforce challenges. By 2033, we'll need to fill 3.8 million jobs in manufacturing, according to a report by the Manufacturing Institute and Deloitte. Recruiting and retaining women isn't just the right thing to do, it's a business imperative. If we can increase women's representation by just 5%, from 30% to 35% in the manufacturing workforce, every single one of those open roles would be filled. But as we all know on this call, is not that simple. Perception barriers, outdated narratives, and workplace culture challenges still keep too many women from seeing a future in manufacturing. And that's why today's conversation is so important. We're going to dive into real proven strategies that are bringing more women into the industry and keeping them there. So I'm thrilled to pass things back over to Ashlyn, who will guide us through this important conversation.
Thank you, Lexi. And this is definitely the importance of the conversation. This is where we get into the meats and potatoes of it. So I'd like to introduce Leslie Cantu. Leslie Cantu is the Vice President of Administration at the Toyotetsu operation in San Antonio, Texas. In her role, she has oversight responsibility for human resources, environmental health, safety, and security, and accounting and purchasing. Most recently in her career, she has gained more than 17 years combined experience with Tier 1 automotive manufacturing suppliers in both the production and administration arenas. Ms. Cantu is active in the community, passionate about supporting workforce development initiatives, and has played a role on several boards and chambers of commerce over the years. Currently, she is the president of the Texas FAME Board and the chair for Workforce Solutions Alamo Board of Directors. Ms. Cantu is a graduate of Texas A&M University in College Station, Texas, where she earned her Bachelor's of Science in Psychology. Leslie, we would like to get started, so I'm going to go ahead and ask you the first question. And so, Leslie, share your personal journey. How do you become interested in a career in manufacturing? And I know this is probably a loaded one. Yeah.
Yes, yes. No, it's a great question. And I feel like my story is probably not so different from so many other individuals, especially women after high school or after college, maybe trying really kind of struggling to decide what they want to do. I know when I was growing up, I thought that I knew what I wanted to do. I took steps to get where I wanted to go through internships and opportunities, and then interest changed, and there was a pivot of, what do I want to be when I grow up? And so I knew that I had an interest in helping people, working in a team environment, was good at problem solving and innovative thinking, and because of networking opportunities, I landed in workforce development, and was happy in workforce development, engaged in workforce development, growing my career and climbing up the ladder. When basically a chance meeting presented an opportunity to get into manufacturing. I had the opportunity at a session that I was at, and met an individual that owned a manufacturing company in San Antonio. That person had a challenge that they needed assistance with, and so I happened to be able to help that person with that challenge. Got them connected with resources, got them the solution that they needed, and really that chance meeting landed a job opportunity, which I wasn't even thinking about at the time. And so I decided to take a leap of faith and get into manufacturing, when honestly that wasn't something that I had ever really thought about. For me, it became a lesson in the importance of networking, the importance of taking advantage of chance opportunities, and really the importance of always doing your best, always going above and beyond, because one, it's the right thing to do, but two, you never know what type of opportunity may grow out of that chance meeting. And so for me, as I mentioned, I think my story is similar to others in the fans and in the fact that I stumbled into manufacturing. Manufacturing may not have been my end goal at first. And because of that, because of my experience, for me, it's a priority to increase awareness to others, especially that next generation of talent, about the career paths that are available in manufacturing and the great career opportunities, not just jobs, but career opportunities, especially for women and the next generation of talent, so that they don't have to follow in my footsteps and stumble into manufacturing. They can actually, pursue that and make an active decision to select a career in manufacturing.
That's a great story, Leslie. And thank you for sharing that with us, because you're right. It's stumbling into it and found a career that is extremely fulfilling. But I really want to dive into that and really highlight your engagement with like really several programs. And I know one of them would have been the second chance programs that you've been into, or any other less common programs that you've gained some good support from executives and insight to. I wanted to kind of highlight that. And can you give some more information on that?
Yeah, absolutely. To kind of answer that question, I want to frame the setting a little bit and take you back to 2018, when we kind of kicked off these programs and these initiatives. At that time, employers were really struggling to hire, which probably isn't all that different from these days. But if you looked at unemployment rates, Texas was lower than the national average for unemployment, and San Antonio was even lower than the Texas unemployment rate. And then you complicate it further by we are actually on an industrial park with 24 other manufacturers doing very similar type of work in a more rural part of an urban community with no bus route, which further limits my talent pool options. And so really at that point, I knew that we had to think outside of the box, be creative, and look for other sources of talent to make sure that we could meet our hiring needs, so we could meet our customer needs. And so really, again, kind of a chance opportunity that I mentioned earlier. our company was participating in a short-term training program to upskill incumbents and get them skills for multi-skilled maintenance technician positions. That particular program was working with individuals at the county level that were justice impacted. And so it was a 9-week training program followed by a 6-week experiential learning opportunity where those individuals would be paired up with a local manufacturer to get hands-on experience. There was one individual in that cohort that had a background that made it extra challenging for him to be able to get that learning experience with the manufacturer. And so, because of the partnership with the county that was operating the program, they had reached out to us to see if we had any suggestions or if there was anything that we could do to support this individual and his learning experience. So I reached out to our attorney, asked them what we could do, told them I needed to reciprocate and return a favor to a good partner of ours. And so we came up with a temporary design of how we could allow this person to come out for 6 weeks, work with us, minimal risk. I had no open positions, so there really wasn't an opportunity to hire this person. We're kind of doing a favor. During that time, that individual excelled in the training program, demonstrated he had the strong skills, the technical skills that we were looking for. And about halfway through that on the job training, that individual, we had an opening in the department. And the manager wanted to hire that individual. Now, that manager didn't know about this individual's background. That's something that only human resources and our attorney knew about. There was no need to share that from a business standpoint. But at that point, it was a matter of, okay, what do we do now? This was not the plan, but this person was excelling and doing so well. How do you not provide a career opportunity for somebody that had already demonstrated that they were an excellent employee? We went back to the table, went back to our attorney, asked them, okay, what do we do to kind of pivot and make sure that we're opening the door and providing more opportunities specifically for justice impacted individuals? And so really that chance interaction with this person through the training program opened our eyes. It was like a light bulb went off and said, wow, we found this really great hidden talent in this individual that could meet that critical need that we had to fill positions, particularly in our skilled departments. I wonder how many other people are out there just like this individual that we've missed out on. And so, really, from that initiative, from that incident, grew our Fair Chance Hiring Initiative. So, fast forwarding from 2018 to now, we've hired about 275 justice impacted individuals. We've had great success with the initiative, showing great positive impacts to our key performance indicators, such as increased retention, increased morale, increased productivity, those types of very important things that we're tracking as a company. And from that really started all those other programs that we've kicked off. So we also work with neurodiverse individuals. We have an internship for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We have specific programs where we work with college and high school interns, again, to get that word out to the next generation of talent to really understand what manufacturing is. What does it look like? Not what do we think it looks like, or not what it was like when our parents and grandparents maybe worked in manufacturing, but what is that really advanced technology and those technical positions look like? And our most recent initiative is specifically working with foster youth, so youth that are in the system, to give them opportunities, but really focusing on individuals in the foster system that are aging out. And helping them embark on a great career. So all of this really grew from one individual getting us to think outside of the box and understanding that there was a whole nother population of individuals out there that we had not considered and probably had even declined in the past that really are great talent that can meet our needs.
That's powerful, Leslie. It's very powerful work that you were able to get into. I do want to take it back to, asking what was your initial perception of the industry and how has that changed over time?
Great question. You know, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure. I had a strong image of what manufacturing was. I mean, I probably saw, manufacturing in movies or on TV, or again, maybe from a grandparent, that had worked in there in a manufacturing environment at some point. And that is very different than the reality of what I've experienced. And so I think at the before I got into manufacturing, I had a very limited understanding about the innovation in manufacturing and all of the technology that goes into manufacturing, the skilled roles, the variety of career path opportunities. I think oftentimes there's a misperception that it's only production or only making a particular product, but there's so much that goes into that beyond just maybe those entry level roles, the management career path, through leadership and up, the skilled roles on those that are working on the equipment and keeping the facility running and keeping the facility, operational and good condition, the safety aspect, the technical aspect of environmental programs and making sure that you're not having a negative impact on the environment, human resources, accounting. I can go on and on about the different varieties of career paths that really can align with skills, aptitude, and interest that applicants have. But I think if they're stuck in that mindset of it's only production and maybe production's not what they're interested in, that's okay. There's so much beyond production that goes into support, management, and operation. And so I think my impression now is obviously very different. I'm almost 18 years into a manufacturing career. Understand, we have this continuous focus on continuous improvement mindset, that never being satisfied, even though we may be in a good condition and the business condition is great and our product is great. How can we take it to the next level, and how can we continue to improve, and how can we focus on safety and quality even more? And following the kind of the structured cycle of plan, do, check, act, and making sure that everything that we have, everything that we're doing is a conscious choice, and it's very deliberate and strategic and thought out and impactful. Again, I'm 18 years into my career, and I continue to be amazed and impressed about the industry and the variety of products that are made, and the variety of businesses that are in the manufacturing industry.
That's great, Leslie. And going back to your initial introduction of stumbling into this career, and then sharing that perception over time, and really that light bulb going off on how impactful the industry is, and how you're able to impact that now during this journey you've been on. What are some challenges or barriers that you have faced as a woman entering manufacturing?
I think in my experience, part of it was one being a woman in manufacturing when most of my peers and colleagues were men, and then not coming from a technical background or not coming from a manufacturing or a comparable type of environment. I feel like I had a lot to prove, right? Which I think most of us probably do in whatever role and whatever industry that we're in, making sure that I was building relationships. I was developing trust with those around me, that I made sure that if I made a commitment, that was under promise and over deliver situation, so individuals knew that they could trust me. And then as I continued to grow in my role as a leader, again, being in a position of being a woman, sometimes being younger than individuals that I was maybe supervising or managing. Again, I think it's making sure that I come from a place of mutual trust and respect. And then over time, you've developed your reputation. You've demonstrated that you can sit at the table with others that maybe have more experience, or maybe being the only woman in the room, making sure that I have the confidence that I belong at the table, and that I can contribute, to the industry and to the company as a whole.
That's great. Through this process, I mean, if you some of these challenges that you faced, what role did mentorship or support networks play in helping you succeed in this and really navigate those challenges and successes and wins?
Yeah, I think mentorship has been something that's been extremely important. So even when I first started my career in workforce development, I was extremely fortunate to have a mentor early on that took me under her wing and guided me along the way. So not only did she set an example of what a leader should be, she showed that it's important to invest and support other women that are coming up behind us so that we can grow that next generation of talent. She introduced me to her network. So there was never competition of keeping her network to herself so that she could benefit from it, but really helping me benefit as well, making those connections so that I can connect to the resources that would benefit me personally and professionally and benefit the organization that I was with. So I think having that mentor to guide you, having somebody that you can bounce things off of, was extremely important and helped me grow in just as a leader and an individual. And then when I transitioned into manufacturing, it became a whole nother world, right? So I had new terminology to learn and new processes and everything was new. My leadership skills, my experience, I could take that over, but I almost felt like I was starting over in my career when I transitioned into manufacturing. And I was extremely fortunate that I had a peer, a colleague that took me under her wing. She had had an amazing career in manufacturing. She had actually started off in production for a large OEM and then had transitioned into human resources for another company. But I guess she saw something in me. She saw motivation. She saw drive, a desire to want to learn and to contribute. And so she took me under her wing and really taught me, kind of held my hand and guided me along the way and shared her experiences and things that she learned so I didn't have to stumble on those same things. Um, she encouraged me when things got overwhelming, and you sit back and you think, "What have I done? Am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right position? Am I in the right industry?" And she shared, how she had experienced things like that along the way, and really just encouraged me and guided me, and became a great friend and mentor, and has been extremely impactful. And so because of those two really kind of informal, mentoring type of situations, it's impressed upon me the importance of continuing that same thing for others that are in my industry, whether it's in my company or maybe in my community, to be able to give back and help those with a hand up, and to let them develop their own path, but support them in ways that I was supported along the way.
Now, I want to take it back to a part of your role and what I mentioned, and you being the president for the Texas Fame Alamo chapter here in San Antonio, Texas. I want to highlight and go back to the cohort of women in Alamo, in the Alamo chapter. What have you guys done? Can you share any takeaways to recruit women into Fame?
So our Texas Fame Alamo chapter started in 2016. The AMT program started prior to that with Toyota in San Antonio, and then they brought on other companies that were interested in partnering together to solve that skills gap crisis. So ever since our chapter started in 2016, recruiting women has been a huge focus for us. One of the ways that we do that is our employers are committed to engaging in career exploration and job shadow activities for middle school and high school girls, making sure that again we're trying to paint a accurate and true picture of what manufacturing is, what does it look like, what's out there for these young women and young girls that are trying to decide what they want to be when they grow up, and maybe they have limited vision to what options are out there for them. So I think by opening our doors and providing these opportunities to young women, it helps us in recruiting for our FAME chapter. One other technique that we use is when we have recruiting activities, whether it's going to career fairs at school, or whether it's going into a classroom with juniors and seniors and talking about the AMT program, we feel it's important that we actually bring female AMTs with us. So either AMTs that are currently in the program, or graduates of the program that are already embarking on their individual successful careers. I think one thing that I hear time and time again from so many women is, I think if they feel if they can't see it, they can't be it. And so for us, it's important to have these young women that are in these roles showing other young women that they can be successful in those roles, and that those are truly opportunities for them. I'll quickly give you a story with our one employer in our chapter. Um, recruited a young lady to put through our program, and she shared with us that she had always had an interest in working with her hands. She was very technical, wanted to get into manufacturing on the multi-skilled technician side. And her father told her, no, that's not your role. That's not what women do. Really discouraged her. And so she ended up getting a job in food service, getting married, having a kid, and then she heard about our program. And so this employer sponsored her through the training program. And now she's an extremely successful maintenance technician at a very large manufacturer in the San Antonio area. And so for her, she may not have gotten into that role exactly when she wanted to, but she took advantage of an opportunity that presented itself. And she's out there telling her story to inspire other young women that may be discouraged or told they can't do something, to really show that you can do anything you put your mind to. And to build on that, our fall 2024 cohort for our chapter has approximately 50% women for the first time. So we've always had a large number of women in our AMT program, but we're extremely proud and extremely excited that we're able to say that we're 50% women, and we have about 40 people in our cohort. So it is a significant number for our chapter to be able to be at a position where we have that many young women that are interested in embarking on their career.
That's a huge win, Leslie, a huge win. On that note, are there any other effective ways that in your mind to reach women and girls when promoting careers in manufacturing? Any other effective ways that you might want to share with our group today?
Yeah, I think again the exposure to the industry. I think allowing them the opportunity to come in and experience, hands-on through internships, through the career shadowing, and through mentorship. Really, I think women in our industry that are passionate about their career and wanting to encourage others to take that opportunity to mentor young women and young girls in middle school and high school, to encourage them, to inspire them to embark on their own journeys.
Great. Now, if you could change one thing about how women are recruited or supported in manufacturing, what would it be? Is there anything you would change? You do a lot of things well, but is there anything you would change that would be effective for the group?
I think that's a great question. I think that's a tough question, but I think my advice would be is maybe take something that um, we're starting to do well, and to grow that even more. So I guess my takeaway, or my homework assignment, my call to action is, I encourage, all the women and men that may be on the call to continue to support women that are in manufacturing, or to support those middle school and high school girls that are thinking about it, making sure that we're encouraging each other, making sure that we are uplifting each other, providing assistance, guidance, bringing those individuals into our circles, um, and making sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that our peers or that next generation that's coming up behind us has all that support that they need to be successful. So I think between the Manufacturing Institute has so many initiatives between the Women Make America awards and between the mentoring, the formal mentoring initiative. I think if we continue to build on that at our individual companies and our communities, kind of take that work and grow it, whether that's kind of grassroots initiative, whether it's okay for it to be informal. Sometimes it's hard to kick off a formal mentoring initiative, but really making sure that those of us that have these personal journeys, these stories, that we're sharing that with others. I think sometimes a lot of women have imposter syndrome, where we feel like, maybe I stumbled, into this, and maybe I shouldn't have this title, or maybe I shouldn't be over this initiative, or but I think it's okay to embrace the things that we've accomplished, and making sure that we have that confidence to share that with others, because you never know what seed that you're planting for somebody just by telling your story. So I think that's something that I think we're starting to get good at, but I think we could improve on doing that better and inspiring others.
Now, in conclusion, because you've said a lot of wonderful things, and I think there's a lot of wonderful takeaways in your personal journey and things that your experiences that you've been able to share. With the manufacturing landscape in mind, what do you see as the biggest opportunities for women in manufacturing over the next 5 years?
As Lexi was saying at the beginning of the conversation, women make up about half of the workforce, but there's only 30% of the workforce in manufacturing are women. And if more women got into our industry, because they have the interest, it's just a matter of they have the desire, they have the motivation, but it's a matter of believing that they can be successful in this industry. That would be a game changer for our companies and our industries. Um, the ability to close that gender gap, and really help us address that workforce crisis. Um, I think our biggest opportunity is to figure out ways to get us engaged, get women engaged, and to help women believe that they can do it. They can be successful. They can be mothers, wives, sisters, friends, executives, whatever that they want to be. They can do all of those things at the same time and have an amazing career. And so I think we need, and I feel like sometimes I'm repeating, but I think these underlying, core issues are key. And I think we need to continue to empower women in our communities, in our families, and our networks. Mentor that next generation of talent, because as Lexi was saying, going from 30% women to 35% women in the next few years, it could make a drastic positive impact in our companies. From a company standpoint, if we're able to fill that skills gap or fill that workforce gap that we have, we can grow our business. We can create new products. We can get new customers. I mean, really, the sky's the limit on that impact that it's going to have on our organizations, on our industry, and really by offering these careers and encouraging women to get into these career pathways, that's impactful and life changing for those women and those families as well, because these are high demand, high wage jobs, great benefits, great opportunities. So not only is it impactful to the business by filling that need, but it's impactful to those families and to our communities.
Thank you, Leslie, so much for your time today. I'm going to hand it over to Lexi, and she's going to insight and best practices, and then we'll get into Q&A.
Yeah, I mean, so Leslie, you touched on some really kind of powerful things. I think what stood out to me most was some kind of a theme around relationships, and how you kind of stumbled into manufacturing and whether folks are actually pursuing manufacturing as a career or stumble into it in the way you did. So much of our paths, both personal and professional, are guided by and encouraged by the people we meet along the way. And those relationships and the networking and the mentorship that you mentioned, I think the mentorship is something that so many manufacturers really underestimate the power of, whether it's providing mentorship opportunities to your current employees as a retention tactic, or having your employees mentor students or get involved with youth organizations in the community. The relationships that you and your employees are building could be the spark that leads someone into manufacturing sector and could be what keeps them in manufacturing for the long term. So that was something that really stuck out to me. And then, of course, going back to drawing on that wide array of talent pools, Leslie, that you've had the experience with, whether it's women or neurodiverse, those exiting the justice system, those aging out of the foster care system. Just want to kind of reiterate there are 400,000 job openings each month in the manufacturing space. And I mentioned up at the top of the call, 3.8 million job openings are estimated by 2033, with half of those estimated to go unfilled if manufacturers don't kind of change up the way that they're doing things to recruit and draw upon additional talent pools. So for everyone here who's joined us today, I would really encourage you to explore how to better tap into a more wide array of talent pools. And of course, Leslie, Ashlyn, myself, the entire Manufacturing Institute is here to support you all as you think through ways to do that.
Perfect. Thank you, Lexi. I think we're going to go ahead and move into the Q&A session. If any of you out there there's something that Leslie has said, that any of us have said that has sparked some questions, we'd like for you to either unmute yourself or drop it in the chat.
And Ashlyn, it looks like we have one in the chat already, and a couple people have direct
Great.
messaged me some questions. But let's start with the one in the chat. Lori, who is involved with Fame in Michigan, they've been doing some outreach to youth organizations like 4-H and drawing upon some of those populations. But she's really curious, Leslie, how are you engaging with experienced rich individuals or like experienced professionals who are either in career transition or looking for opportunities within manufacturing? What have you seen work well there?
So we've developed a great relationship with veterans programs here in San Antonio. So we have a large military presence. And so individuals that are transitioning out of the military have also been a great talent pipeline for us, for individuals that are looking for their next career. So we make sure that we go out to meet with individuals that are transitioning from the military, introduce them to the large manufacturing industry in our San Antonio region, talk about the different career paths and how that matches up with the skill set that they're bringing from the military, and how that can be a perfect fit for our company and for our industry as well. So as far as those that are transitioning from careers, that's probably has been our most successful program.
And then a question that was sent directly to me. This individual is really impressed with the high rates of female participation that you have in your A&T training program. And I mean, I am impressed as well. 50% is higher than most of the numbers we're seeing across the industry, including those educational and training programs. So they want to know what types of recruitment tactics you think worked so well to get you such a high representation of women in that program.
So two things that I think that we focused on. One is we have focused our efforts on more of the going into the classroom with kind of captive audience, smaller groups than maybe 20 to 30. While the job fairs and career fairs, that they have at the school are also very beneficial, but being able to connect with those STEM programs at the school, individuals that have that interest and aptitude where they're leaning towards some type of STEM career, getting in the classroom, presenting to them, and then bringing our female AMTs with us to tell their story. It's one thing to have me or another older woman go into the classroom, but when you have somebody that's in their 20s that is in the program that has been successful, that can really relate and connect to those students on a level that maybe I can't or one of my peers can't, we have found the most success in engaging with our young AMTs, with those young high school students.
Awesome. And then the other question that came through, and maybe this is a good one to end on, is, unless other questions kind of come through, how can manufacturers position themselves as employers of choice, especially for women and some of the underrepresented groups you mentioned?
I think that's a great question. I think that's one thing that Toyotetsu Texas has really worked on very strategically for probably about the last decade. To be considered an employer of choice, I think it's important that you have that very positive reputation within your community. So by working with um, a range of talent populations, we were able to get the word out about our company. I think whether it's grassroots from our employees, because the kind of environment that we work in. So we our company culture is focused around what we call mendomi, and mendomi is a Japanese word for treating your employees like family, and it's kind of even beyond kind of that cliche phrase, but it's really building on pillars of mutual trust and respect, open communication, focusing on growth and development opportunities for your employees, and creating an environment of teamwork. And so for us, by focusing on these diverse populations, we've seen our current employees very receptive to the work that we're doing. So we have good communication. They know about our initiatives. We communicate. They're extremely supportive of those types of initiatives and proud to work for a company that is specifically strategically focused on working with these different populations. And then we want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to be supportive of work-life balance, which I think is extremely important for women that, again, are wives, mothers, and all the 100+ hats that we wear every day. Making sure that we provide that balance, that we understand the needs outside of work, whether that's caring for our children or caring for our elder parents. There's so many different things that we're focused on. So making sure that we have policies in place that are supporting our employees that maybe need to take time off to care for that child or that parent, making sure that we have a competitive vacation and sick leave package, making sure that we have competitive benefits to make sure that we're addressing those needs of providing those benefits for their family. So there's definitely many things that go into being that employer of choice, but I think it's important that you're doing what you can to get the word out in the community about the great environment that you have, the great benefits that you have, the type of company that you are, kind of at your heart and at your core. And then over time, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Like I said, we've had a very strategic focus for the last decade. But over time, you do develop that image and that reputation in the community, and that becomes where you naturally are that employer of choice, and you have that talent pool that's knocking at your door to get in.
Leslie, I love that concept of Mendomi. And I mean, we see this over and over again, that the most effective strategies for attracting and retaining various talent pools, including women, often start with that focus on organizational culture, and companies really signaling both through words and actions that women and other populations not only belong in manufacturing, but can thrive there. And it starts with some of those benefits that you outlined. It starts with how job postings are written, and then extends into some of the daily practices within an organization. It's offering those mentorship opportunities and opportunities for career development and growth. It's providing childcare and parental care opportunities and that workplace flexibility. So I think we've touched on some really great things today. Leslie, thank you so much for your time. And thank you everyone who's joined us to listen in today. If you guys ever have any questions about kind of how to really implement some of the things that we've chatted about today, we are always here as a resource and we'd love to kind of help you along that journey and support you. So thank you, everyone.